I don't want to be working in ballet or opera.
Timothée Chalamet. I think we should get him on this podcast. All he did was he said he gave the world real fuel. What?
Or, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this anymore.
Chalamet!
All these people that are on these opera YouTube channels.
Timothée, what did you say?
Mr. Chalamet.
I have a theory about this whole Timothée Chalamet.
He gave them fuel. He's giving them something to talk about. He said one little thing.
I just lost 14 cents in viewership.
One little thing. And
then everyone loses their minds.
Everyone's going crazy over this.
You don't mess with the opera people. Don't mess with the ballet. I think that really attests to the strong community. Out of all the things for people in the world to take a stand on, this is the hill they're going to die on. The opera is not dying. Ballet is not dying. Let's get everybody, let's unite the world, and I'll shout, opera is not dying.
Look what I did to this city with a few drums of gas and a couple of bullets.
Damn, I just took shots for no reason.
It's all part of the plan.
This is Ketchup Theory. The Phantom of the...
Chalamet!
Well, Timothée Chalamet. Yes, that name is buzzing because of what he said about opera. And matter of fact, they're actually going to start a segment in the Oscars that will address this. Is ballet dying? Is opera dying? Why did the community react so strongly about this? So these are some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And please, if you're new, like and subscribe. We really help to really grow the channel and to keep bringing you this amazing conversation that we've been having from the creative front. But we'll see where it goes. I'm sure you have opinions about it.
It's trending, but it's relevant to the topics that we discuss on this podcast.
Timothée Chalamet
was
on I don't know where he was. I don't even know what. Matthew McConaughey was just like interviewing
Matthew
him.
McConaughey was there, I know.
He's just like interviewing. Like where does he have his own show now? I mean, he just shows up everywhere.
There was a live studio audience.
Yeah, so I don't know what the actual event was, but it was showed up everywhere. And Timothée Chalamet basically said that he didn't want to end up in ballet or opera because that's a dying art. Dying art. That's what he said. And he's like, I took shots for no reason, pretty much. So the first question is he right? Is he wrong?
Well, he's not right. I mean, if you just look at a technical standpoint, movie theaters struggled to get people in seats and to sell tickets after the pandemic, but they didn't have that problem with opera and with theaters. So he's not. I was just watching a short and a guy was like, in 400 years, people are still going to be going to operas, but are people going to be watching Wonka? Probably not. So it was kind of a weird compliment, but then it was like, at the end of the day, he's just a guy and he just said a thing, and people say stuff on the internet all the time. So it's like, this is like you go into a YouTube comment section and people are saying stuff all the time. He's just getting a lot of attention because he's famous and he's on a press tour right now for Marty Supreme. So it's like, what he said isn't really correct, but it's kind of just like, he just said a thing. So it's like, everybody get over it.
But I think you bring up a really good point. Right after COVID, theaters did not have a problem selling out.
Movie theaters did, though.
I mean, yeah, like the theater, Broadway, opera, like they're selling out every single show.
Yeah.
But movie theaters are just having such a hard time. They even stream opera. You can get the Met. They stream live Met Opera on their channel every single day with like commentary because you don't understand what they're saying. So it's like watching
film. Film was the art that was struggling.
Yeah.
Movie theaters and stuff.
But it's interesting. Why do you think that is? Why is that?
Wait, what do you mean?
What do you think? Well, why do you think that opera and ballet didn't have a problem, but movie theaters, his art, the art that he's in, had a problem filling seats, versus the theater and ballet didn't have any problem?
Because theater, ballet, that's a live art form, and you want to see that live. A movie, you can wait for it to come to streaming, and you can watch it at home. You can watch an opera over streaming, but you would rather go see a live show. It's like one of my favorite things, one of my favorite productions of all time of any medium is The Phantom of the Opera. And I can watch the 25th anniversary, which is incredible and really is the best capture of that on film. But going and see it on Broadway, I mean, it doesn't even match it. I mean, seeing it live is absolutely incredible. As soon as we found out it was going to be closing, we were like, we have to go see this before it closes down. And it'll probably open up again in the future. There's many musicals that have shut down and come back. But it was like, you know, as soon as they announced that it was going to close, every show was sold out. Like, people were rushing to see it before it shut down because of how impactful it was. So it just, for my perspective, because musical theater is kind of included in that, you know, live shows, opera, ballet, theater, people, you know, those shows are selling out. People are going to see them because they want to see that live performance. And the guy that I was watching his short, he made a good point. He said, you know, they're already talking about AI replacing actors, but, you know, AI can't replace a live performance. Nobody's going to go see AI perform live. So it was a very interesting comment because film is more replaceable by AI than live performances.
Yeah, and I'd like to see AI try to replicate some of these vocal performances that, you know, like they're able to like replicate like a pop song, you know, with somebody just kind of singing and you're able, but these like emotional, like Pavarotti, he did Vesti la Guiba, which is one of my favorite performances of all time. He, you know, he's playing a clown and, you know, he's happy and sad and he's showing all the different comedy and tragedy, all the different ranges there,
the full range of emotion right there.
And it's just incredible. I mean, people, like real people, have a hard time replicating his performance.
Yeah,
you know, I think it's so hard. So I got into performing arts by accident. I was supposed to go for
performing arts school.
Mr. Performing Arts. So I got into performing arts by accident. I was supposed to go for music. And of course, I was too late filling in, and the only thing that was left was drama. And I'm like, I don't want to go to drama. Guys don't go to drama. And my dad's like, well, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger had to take acting classes. I mean, if he had to take it, I mean, and he's like the macho at the time when he said it, he was like, you know, he was like the macho's guy. You know, Alan Ritson took acting classes and had so I ended up getting it. And one thing that I remember more than anything of my whole experience, not just the fact that I was actually a producer of Phantom of the Opera, my last year with
low budget,
but
production. No,
there was a girl, and I can't remember her name at the moment, but she could literally break glass with her voice. She had the highest pitch when she was singing. She had that very operette. I mean, there were, and you know, we're only, you know, anywhere from 15 to 18, maybe even younger. And it was just an incredible talent. And that's really what opened up my love for opera. You know, I saw Andrea Bocelli at the Sunrise Musical Theater. Sunrise Musical Theater is rated one of the best amphitheaters in the U.S. And there was just a bunch of friends that were going, and they're like, want to go see Andrea Bocelli? And I'm like, I mean, I know theater, I know that, I know like some operas, but I didn't really know who he was at the time. And when I saw it, I was mesmerized. You guys got to see him. And it's such an incredible, he was somebody that kind of made it mainstream, even though Pavarotti and Placido Domingo, like they were also worldwide mainstream.
Right, but he was more modern.
He was way more modern. He did the regular opera, but he also did kind of like with Jock Bowman.
He introduced it to a bit of a different audience, which was good for the art form. And, you know, just because you don't hear that on the radio doesn't mean that the art form is dying.
Right.
Just because it's not on today's hits, it doesn't mean the art form is dying. It's actually it's actually an art form that's staying alive, because unlike, you know, pop music, which is just geared towards getting the biggest hit, this is an art form that's actually staying true to itself. It's actually, you know, remaining what it is. It's not trying to evolve to appeal to a broader audience. It's actually staying true to what it is. And there's a huge audience for that.
Which is interesting. So I wanted to bring up this point because I was thinking about this and I wanted to see like your initial reaction to this point. So we talk about reboots all the time.
Mhm.
You know, we see reboots all the time. You're like, oh, they're rebooting, you know, this movie and they're
Spider-Man
rebooting this
again,
now.
probably.
Yeah, they're gonna reboot.
The crazy thing about that is like, I'm seeing movie reboots now where when the original reboot came out, you would have been the age, like you saw the original and you saw the reboot. Now I'm the age where I saw the reboot, and then so many years later, I'm seeing another reboot of it. And it's like, it's so interesting.
Did that diminish? Does that diminish?
What, seeing a reboot?
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, a reboot is just like, it's just another person's vision of it. And if the movie is good, you know, then it's a good movie at the end of the day.
But then people say, well, they're doing reboots, they're running out of ideas.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yeah. It would be nice to see some good original stories.
So how many different Phantom iterations have you seen?
Watched a lot of bootleg renditions of it on YouTube.
Right, but the show itself is
Right.
always different
Recast.
actors. There's different actors that are playing. Like you may not get the one. It's the same story. And that's the thing. Like in opera, Verdi is the same no matter what. No matter where you go to Boston, you go to California, it's the same show, different people. Theaters, Broadway is the same thing. It's the same show. There may be a slight iteration of it, like you see Lion King on Broadway. It's going to be different. Seeing it locally versus seeing it on Broadway. It's the same thing with ballet. I mean, all the different ballet, it's the same dances.
Yeah.
Swan Lake is the same no matter what. So why the difference? Like why, you know, I just find it very fascinating because all theater is just a reboot after another. They're not really making a ton of new plays.
That's not true. There's groundbreaking plays that
Sure.
come out.
Always. They're always, but not at the rapid scale as you see in movies.
But it's also exciting when there's a revival of, like, maybe 10 years from now, Phantom of the Opera
Yeah.
comes back to Broadway. That's going to be exciting. People are going to go
Which
see
is
it.
the
It's gonna
same
sell
for
out.
movies, I think. I think when they do a revival they give a fresh take. So let's just say, I've talked about it many times on the show, the Turtles. You know, if they were to do another Ninja Turtles reboot, I would
Well, they
probably
just
watch
did
it.
the Mutant Mayhem, and that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's another one, there's another show and stuff. But for movies, they did another one. I thought it was
They
really
do that
good.
with TV shows all the time. It's like every generation has their own version. I remember when you're young, there's the Ninja Turtles show. I had one when I was growing up, and then there was one years later on Nickelodeon. It's like they're constantly rebooting the same stuff.
But if
And there is a
Michael
complaint about it.
Crawford came back, if he could sing, if Michael Crawford could sing at his full potential, and he came back to do the Phantom, would you go see it?
If I could afford it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, which is amazing. It sells out, and it's just completely,
So
it's
expensive.
unbelievable how expensive it is, and yet it's still selling out. Okay,
Yeah.
now, but Robert Downey Jr. can't come back as Iron Man.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the
Okay,
difference.
all right, here we go.
Here's the
That's
difference.
fine. Let's go.
Iron Man was killed off, and I spent 12 years with this character. So when he gets killed, I grew up watching Iron Man. So when he gets killed off, that's so emotional. It's such a big payoff. So then when they bring him back, it's like they're undoing all of that emotion. When you're going
But
to
doesn't
see
that happen? But doesn't that happen when you go see a play? Doesn't it? You know at the end how it's going to end.
Here's an example. Andrew Lloyd Webber made a sequel to The Phantom of the Opera. And in my mind, the story ends. The story ends with the Phantom. There's a couple songs I like from the sequel, but it's like the story ends. Why are we reviving this? So seeing a different adaptation of it is different than seeing Iron Man isn't being rebooted. They're bringing back a beloved actor that they killed off, and it was so emotional. And now it also feels so cheap. It's like Marvel's running out of ideas, so they have to bring in the big shot.
They didn't run out of ideas because this is what happened in the comics.
Well, they were going in a direction with Kang, and then a bunch of stuff happened, and they had to completely pivot. They had to completely pivot to a completely different strategy, so they had to start from scratch, which they kind of used to their advantage because people didn't like the direction they were going in. So they're like, oh, well, this is a good opportunity, using someone's misfortune to steer their studio in a better direction. It's like, that's like crazy corporate money. You know, it's like, do they care about anything else? And then it's like,
no, they don't.
No, it's just a complete.
It's a studio.
Yeah, it's a studio.
But I think the people that are in front of it, I think the Russo brothers want to do a good job. I think they have a vision, and they have a lot of source material. That's the thing about the comics. They have so much source material.
Right, and comic books bring people back all the time.
Yeah.
But
the one thing I will say, go ahead.
They say the famous joke is everybody comes back to life except for Uncle Ben.
Hey.
He's never come back.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. You either live long enough, or what is it? You either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. That's what's happening.
That's what they say.
That's what's happening. He's going to be Doctor Doom. And it's not even him. It's just, I think he's coming back but he could just be a variant, because there was only the one time they actually won, which is kind of like another plot twist, because in all the other multiverses, that was the only one that won. So it's, yeah. But anyways, we're going into, out of all the variants, we saw all the different ones. All the other multiverses should have died with Thanos. That was the only one that actually won. But that just came to my mind. Going back to the original thesis of, opera and theater in
the Hawkeye show, they had the musical.
Yeah,
the Avengers
I would
musical.
see that.
I would go see that. I would see a
Any
Broadway
day.
version.
And the thing is, like, you go to Disney and you see that, I want to go back and I want to see the shows. It's the same show. I know how it ends. And but I also want to I think that it is, I don't know, I can't say it's harder, but the work that goes on, there's a beautiful documentary about what goes into making a theatrical production every single night.
Mm-hmm.
Every night, performing the same line and then giving it 100% every time. That's like, Robert Downey Jr. even though he did it and came back, Robert Downey Jr. had a hard time coming back to do that last scene for Iron Man in Endgame, because he had been disconnected with it for like 3 months. And then they're like, let's bring him back.
The backstory behind that. They didn't like the ending that they had for Endgame, and they didn't feel that Iron Man's final scene really did it justice. So some guy just suggested, well, how about
not some guy, the editor.
The editor.
The editor.
I didn't know it was the editor.
It was the editor in the scenes. He was the one that recommended the change.
The editors, go editors. He suggested, how about he says Iron Man? It'll perfectly close the loop. So Robert Downey Jr. had to come back, and he had already left the character. This was like he said, 3 months later, and he had to get back into character just to do that one line.
One line, yet the theatrical or, the ballet or the opera, they have to sing these shows every single night.
And they have to give it their all every time, because there's the person in the audience is only going to see this show one time. So now, every performance they can't phone it in.
And from a perspective view, and I really like that Chalamet said what he said, because it really shows
starting conversations.
Yes, it is, and it is. It's not that they needed it. And there was one reel that I saw. She runs up. She's very famous in the industry, and she's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I had to come out of my coffin because we're dead, even though we're selling out shows every single day, for in Europe. It's easy for somebody to say, "Oh yeah, soccer's dead. Soccer's not that popular. Soccer is not that popular."
Isn't soccer the most watched sport on the planet?
Yeah, in the States, soccer is not.
It's because
popular.
It's because we're in a bubble.
Yeah, we're in a bubble, exactly. when you step outside, and that's the thing I feel about art, is you have to step outside the bubble. We're so consumed with what is current. I mean, foreign movies, I mean, I've seen many, many, many foreign movies. Foreign movies is a whole other, like we talk about they're running out of ideas. They're not running out of ideas in foreign movies. They may have
No.
have the ability to
Hollywood
have the same
is
exact
running out
production.
of ideas. but
Hollywood is. Hollywood is not.
That's why
we.
so many people are so invested in artists now that are doing their own thing. Like, somebody who's not being controlled by a label, because you want to find people who are writing new things that a studio wouldn't allow. There's a lot of movies that Hollywood, they wouldn't allow this movie to be made. So an independent filmmaker has to do it. And then these people are getting nominations and they're getting all the accolades and everybody is inspired by it to go do their own thing. That's the big trend we're seeing right now. The self-performing artists, the self-publishers for books, the indie artists for music, the independent film studios. That's the big surge we're seeing right now. The YouTuber Markiplier that just did a movie without Hollywood and it did well. It's just all these people are just like, I'm just going to do it myself because the resources are there now.
Yeah, the barrier of entry. And now, technically, if you have an idea and you don't know how, let's just say you're just somebody that's always had an idea, but you don't have access to a scriptwriter, you can find a script writing AI, you can put that idea in it, and you can come up with a script.
AI can come up with a script for you, but
That will be better. Oh yeah, no, believe me, I get it.
Because you were too lazy to learn how to write a script, and you're not a real artist, and you're faking it. Don't think
I get that.
If you use AI to write a script and you don't know anything about script writing, then you are not a real screenwriter.
And I don't think they want to be a real screenwriter. I think if somebody just wanted to have and do, like if they've always wanted to make a movie at home or something, it's really more of a passion project. Not like a professional, but like a passion project. People can in some way live out their dream to some extent because the barrier of entry is much, much lower.
And if you're using AI for it, all it is a dream.
Yeah.
You didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel good about that accomplishment.
Okay, there's different. There are people that use it. There are some benefits.
Talk to Timothée Chalamet. I think we should get him on this podcast. All he did was he said he gave the world real fuel. What I mean is all these people that are on these opera YouTube channels, he gave them fuel. He's giving them something to talk about. This is igniting conversation. He said one little thing, and everyone loses their minds. Everyone's going crazy over this.
You don't mess with the opera people. Don't mess with the ballet. And I think that really attests to the strong community. Out of all the things for people in the world to take a stand on, this is the hill they're going to die on. Opera is not dying. Ballet is not dying. Let's unite the world, and I'll shout, opera is not dying.
Yeah.
But that's the community, right? If they were to say that comic books are dying, or if they were to say that art is dying itself.
Right.
The community, what you said, you mentioned the word bubble. And it's good to go into different bubbles. And I think that's part of what I would like to say with this show will even push us to do, to go into the different creative arts. I mean, glass blowing is incredible. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and they made a great show about it, which is actually pretty cool. But there are different art forms that are still out there, and people are in a bubble, and they're kind of all focusing on movies and songs. But they're missing these smaller communities.
But you go to the store, and you see this thing that was glass blown, and you might not know the story behind it, but you look at it, and you're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I want to put that in my living room. And you buy it, and then you're looking at it every day. There's a story behind every piece of art. You don't need to know the story to appreciate the art. It makes you appreciate it more, but, all these decorations that you have around your house were all made by somebody.
I don't know who made it. I don't know who made it,
but you still
have it. And it could have been made by a machine. It could have been made by a machine.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
Do you think that this was made by a machine?
I do think that was made by a machine.
You don't think it was made by a professional stuffed animal custom?
I think the person designed it, and I think they made the first
Just
concept.
so everyone knows, I have a stuffed animal hamburger right here.
Yeah. Thanks for context for
I had it next to me.
millions of audio viewers.
I had it next to me, and I just wanted to show everybody. So who's watching?
So, yeah, I mean that's the thing. It started a conversation, and I think that's what it is. I think that it's good to have those conversations about different art forms, because I can see and I've always gotten myself into these different art forms from reading, classical literature,
Art school over here.
Mr. Performing, but that's what it had taught me. Performing arts taught me to learn about the culture of art and all the different art. I mean, we had to really. Our teacher was amazing, and then not only that, but you're surrounded by other artists. You had drama, but it was a performing arts school, so you had the band. It wasn't just band. Every school has band.
School
There was
for
an
arts are really
orchestra.
cool.
There was a full orchestra. When I did the Phantom of the Opera, there's a whole set design class. There's costume design. There's all these different things. Just like in a movie, they have it in theater. They have it in ballet. They still have to film it. They still need a film crew. They still need basically I had the director and the technical director, and I was the producer. And the technical director took all the way the technical stuff, and the director took care of all like the stage and everything. So there's a lot of moving parts in theater, just like there is in movie. And that's why I think a lot of some of the best actors come out of theater.
Yeah.
Because they have to, I mean, just like with the Beatles, how they had to play like 500 times before they even, they were playing every day. These theater actors are playing every day, and it just makes them much, much better.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I was doing vocal lessons with my vocal coach, she would always tell me, and this is something I do all the time. She's like, you're learning all these techniques, but sing live, like all the way through. There's learning and then performing live that's like the proof of the concept. Like if you can do the live performance and you can really showcase it, that's why like on YouTube in the guitarist community, there's a whole discussion about so many guitarists that, they can play, but they can't play as well as they make it seem like they can. It's very edited together, and then they do the fake performance. But that's not the case with theater, opera, ballet. It's all live, and they can't mess up. That's why for theater auditions, they know in 8 bars whether or not, all they need is 8 bars. Or 8 to 16 bars. They know whether or not you're going to be able to be in the show. Like, that's all that they need, and they can see whether or not you're going to make it.
Yeah, and the other thing too about
it's very hard to get into a show with all those people auditioning, just like people auditioning for movies.
The thing that I like about with opera and ballet is the accessibility that people have to learning it now. It was very hard to get. It's not hard. It's just there's a bracket of people that can afford. You had mentioned about like not being able to afford going to some place. There are some things that are more accessible to people based on how much they make. But there are a lot of opera YouTube channels that will teach you. You're not going to get the direct feedback, but you're going to do it, and you're going to want more help, and you're going to click on their lessons. Ballet, same thing. Ballet, there you can learn. You learn to breakdance off of YouTube.
I did. I don't know.
We're gonna bring it up.
Example. I don't know if it's a good example. They'll be like,
but no, you were doing good.
I can tell
you were doing
good.
good.
Off YouTube.
You went like 3 or 4 years removed, and went to the park, and then you did a couple of really cool moves, and people were like pretty impressed.
I know a few moves still that I can break out at parties.
But yeah,
a few. Otherwise, I'd break.
But I think it's more accessible. I think
everything
that people
is
can
more
learn
accessible
that
now. You can learn how to act off of YouTube.
Yeah.
You can learn anything off of YouTube, but I wouldn't recommend learning opera off of YouTube because you could hurt your voice.
I suppose so. I mean,
if you want to,
I have seen it. So
if you want to learn how to do anything correctly, invest in the education for it. From
correct.
A real person.
I agree.
Anything.
Not everybody has that ability.
No.
Not everybody has that ability, but I think that if you find that you have talent, you will go the extra step, and
that's the
either the
thing.
parent.
There's such a thing as natural, but there isn't natural talent. It's anybody can learn.
Is. No, some people
Anybody,
have.
but anybody
Some people
can learn
have.
it, though.
Correct, you can learn it, but I have seen this. There were certain people in class that specifically they had an edge. They had an edge over people because they could just, and I don't know how to explain it, but they just naturally could sing better. I had to learn how to sing. They just had the breath. They just had it, and they didn't have formal education until this girl that could break glass. Like, she didn't have any formal education. She listened to it, and then she did it. She listened to it. She tried to match, which is what we were taught, to match what they're saying. And I think that somebody that maybe feels they have it, and I know we're not going to get into this episode, but the talent shows thing, and I think that people that feel like they see something, they get inspired, which is why I do like talent shows. We're going to talk about a different episode.
But a lot of people on talent shows had formal education in what they're doing. Like, Susan Boyle wasn't just naturally gifted. I'm sure she had education.
Sure.
She learned how to sing. These people,
and she sang for many years before.
Yeah.
They even got
as a
there.
professional singer. Yeah. So it's like, these
but
are
I think
just
the
people...
spark, though. But I think the spark that they have, and
but
then
that
the
shouldn't
ability
discourage anybody from learning, because anybody can learn how to sing.
Correct.
Unless you're a
Agreed.
mute, anybody can learn how to do anything. And the best way to learn it is to have an actual teacher.
Correct, and I agree with that 100%. And so I just think that the accessibility is to get started, that spark, to see if you have an interest. Like, if you can get through 10 YouTube videos that are like 30 minutes long, then that shows that you have an interest and that it's something you're willing to invest. Then you get the teacher.
And I'll tell you what, I've learned most of the little hobbies I've learned off of YouTube. But I'll just say for myself, I made 10 times more progress with a vocal coach than I did learning off of YouTube. So I'm not, like, most of what I've learned, I've just learned off of YouTube. And that's why I have a lot of things I've learned how to do, and I'm mid-level. Like, I'm okay at them. But with singing, I was able to excel a lot more. And I was able to, you go into if anybody wants to go into my YouTube channel, you can hear the progress from like my first YouTube to like maybe my most recent one. And not that it was like great, but you can hear a clear difference in my voice. That's before and after I had a vocal coach. Coach. So you
and
can
I would
see
say that some of your best stuff is your operatic stuff, even though you say you don't listen to opera. But when you do,
I'm not
Dust and Ashes.
But that's not opera. That's classical. That's different. Opera singing is a whole different. Opera singing and classical singing are technically are two different singing styles. For instance, a lot of people don't realize this, but the Phantom of the Opera, most of those people aren't actually singing opera. It sounds operatic, but it's actually a more modern technical style of singing, especially the Phantom. But there's a story reason behind that. He was actually more advanced than the rest of them were. I don't need to get into that, but
get into it. This is your chance. It's the opera episode.
I know a lot about the Phantom of the Opera. So in the Phantom of the Opera, he is actually, to kind of highlight that he's a savant, he's a musical genius. His singing style is actually more modern than all of the rest of them because he was like ahead of the curve. In fact, his musical that he wrote, Don Juan Triumphant, the music in that is ahead of the time that musical takes place in, because he's actually writing much more advanced stuff that hadn't been written before. So you wouldn't know that when you're just watching it, but that's why everybody's like has a hard time. It's shown because everybody's like has a hard time learning his musical because it's much more advanced than what they were used to. So that's a little Phantom of the Opera fact of the day. But
they're doing another.
What, another what?
Phantom.
Like a live action, like a movie.
A movie, yeah.
I would love if they redid the Phantom of the Opera because I do not like them. Is it Timothée Chalamet?
It's not Timothée Chalamet.
It's
Chalamet!
He could be a great Raoul.
Tom Holland? Raoul?
I don't know if Tom Holland can sing.
Anybody can learn the thing.
Can learn, but if you are going to be in the Phantom of the Opera, which is a musical, you should have been singing for longer than 6 months. Gerard Butler learned how to sing for that movie, and it's awful.
I like that movie. When Mom saw that movie for the first time, I was proud that, because a lot of people, it kind of opened up the medium a little bit to people that would never have seen it.
That's
And
true.
I actually did enjoy it. I love the Point of No Return. You guys loved it. We listened to it
Actually,
all
I was
the time.
scared of it when I was a kid.
But you know who's doing Phantom of the Opera?
Who?
Guillermo del Toro.
You know, I've heard a little bit about that.
Yeah.
That would
So
be good.
can you imagine what that would look like?
It would be, I mean, the production design of the movie is very good.
Yeah. But so I guess the whole thing is that with art, there are different bubbles. And within these bubbles, there are really passionate people. And like I said, in performing arts, they really taught us to learn about the different. And what I learned in performing arts and has kind of shaped me who I am creatively now. So I would have to say, even bleeding into you, what I learned because of opera and ballet and theater is a direct contribution to who you are today. Because I put you guys in front of that stuff. I always, even though you took your turn, you took it and kind of took a turn with it. But still, I always try to create a very creative household. And it was all because of what I learned in there. And Timothée Chalamet, his roots are his family's in ballet. So he can contribute a lot, that influence in what he does.
Yeah, I just think he was
sure.
saying, he said that, and it's almost like, you know, he just said it. It's not like...
I think he's getting way too cocky.
Yeah.
I think he's getting too cocky. He's like you. He's just so opinionated.
I think, yeah, well, I think Marty Supreme, the character he played, I haven't seen it, but just like seeing, like, he's a very cocky character, and it's almost like a lot of this marketing that he's doing, he's still kind of being in that
But when
character.
he won his Oscar last year, if you see his acceptance speech, it's inspiring, sure. It's like, yeah, it's like success and I'm shooting for the moon and this and that. But it's a different, you know, it's a different than a lot of, I mean, if you watch like these Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, you watch all these De Niro, all these Pacino, all these classic actors and their presence in front of their peers, in front of people, they were always super humble, like couldn't do it without this, couldn't do it without that. And he's different. Like the way he presents himself is very different than I've seen most, even with Matthew McConaughey. Like I don't see it. Like I've never seen, he's almost acting like a musician, like a rock star. Like he's acting so, but I've never seen this with actors. He's very, I don't know, he just has a different presence about him that I think can be off-putting to some people. But an amazing actor. It doesn't take away from his skill set. But it's just, you know, he's gonna have to, you know, I don't know. We'll see. But yes, it definitely started the conversation, but you know, that's the good side. Some people have said that, yeah, well, let's start a conversation. Well, opera and ballet didn't need conversation. They were doing fine all by themselves without him making that comment.
Yeah, but he can say whatever he wants.
He can say whatever he wants. So speaking of great art, let's do a transition here. Let's just talk a few minutes about some of the things that we've seen. Some of the things that I've seen is actually I have already
not listened to any opera recently, unfortunately.
So Monroe, she does
Actually, yeah, there's some up and coming,
which I love.
Singers.
I love it. I love seeing these up and coming because, you know, Bocelli, the length of his career. So here's the thing I love about Bocelli. He just sang at the Olympics and he sang other places. Like he's still singing. For him to have a career that long and still be able to perform at such a peak level, I think you can do that with acting. I think people can act I think there's very few, I guess all art forms, but to be able to, but the amount of effort that it takes to sing opera, for him to be able to, at his age and for the length of his career, to be able to still perform at such a highest level in the world, I think that's incredible.
Well, that's because opera, the technique is very sustainable. That's why rock stars can't sing the way they could.
Right.
Because Robert Plant, he's just screaming in the mic, and it sounds epic for a rock song, but that is not a sustainable vocal technique. Opera
Unless you're Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler has never sang that well. He's always sounded pretty bad. His voice just fit the tone of the music, and then he blew out his vocal cords, and it was like,
that's right.
I think he did that a long time ago. But opera is a very sustainable way of singing. That's why so many people merge classical with modern singing techniques, because the opera is built around sustaining the voice for as long as possible, and eventually it just becomes effortless. The biggest thing my vocal teacher taught me was, if you're singing and you don't feel that much going on in your voice, then you're doing it right. It's like when watching an athlete. Like, there's practicing, and then when they're performing, it's like effortless.
It's like Josh Groban. Anytime he sings,
it's just effortless. It's
just effortless, and it's getting better and better over time. It just gets better and better.
Yeah.
So that's the opera. That's that. Obviously, Saratoga Springs is big for ballet. They have some of the best productions of ballet here. But let's just turn back into something. So you had mentioned you had seen something. I have seen some stuff. So we had actually talked about this in the last episode.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Toy Story. You're like, they made hoppers. Oh, blah. But you went and just saw it.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't like incredible, but it was a good animated movie. It was very funny, not in like a kiddie way. Like, I can see a bunch of people finding it very enjoyable. It very much fit a lot of like modern humor tropes that we see across social media. It was very like crazy humor, a lot of quick editing, a lot of really funny, ridiculous things happening. That was very entertaining. There was some decent emotion in it. There wasn't any classic crying Pixar moment, but I definitely would it was a very entertaining movie, and it had a decent story, and I think the characters were all right. There were some that, like, the animal characters were really funny, and it was good. It was definitely a better Pixar movie, a better Pixar original that I've seen in a while.
Do you think animation's dying? Talk about dying art form. You don't think it's dying?
I think animation is peaking. I think that animation, I haven't seen it yet, but the new movie Goat that came out, the animation in that is supposed to be really good. I think animation is actually getting more experimental, whereas a lot of films are getting more bland. But like, I always mention the Spider-Verse movies. I mean, those really show the capabilities, and after Into the Spider-Verse came out, animation kind of started getting a lot more experimental. From the Hollywood side, now, of course, across the world, there's animation forms that are very artistic, and it just hasn't reached the mainstream yet. So that's the cool thing about the Spider-Verse movies. They kind of showcase different art forms in one movie and making it a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, and that's the thing about GOAT, is that that's the direction before he died Kobe Bryant was heading. So a lot of people don't realize this, but Kobe Bryant studied storytelling more than anything. He would literally go and he would practice. He was the greatest basketball player of the time. And then he would go home and read books on theater, on script writing. He wanted to know everything about storytelling, because then when he left, he started within a year, he'd won an Emmy. Or an Oscar for his short film, and then he had for his short animation, and then he was making books that were doing really well. That's kind of like the direction and so to see Stephen Curry kind of like take that over, it's really cool. So it's Stephen Curry with GOAT, and then you had
him a little bit,
and then Lewis Hamilton with F1. So you had two major sports stars
involved with
with storytelling. Yeah. So I think that's really cool.
It's kind of about they're trying to represent, that's their art form, the sport, and they're trying to bring it to the masses. And F1 is very popular. F1 didn't need publicity, but still making the movie brought it more to mainstream. Kind of like the opera thing. It's like F1 is doing fine. They're not having trouble selling out the races, but it's still bringing more publicity to it. So all publicity is just promotion. All publicity is good publicity, as they say. Which
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we both watched, we both recently watched Wall-E.
Yes. So talking about Pixar a little bit and how it's kind of fallen from the glory days. I have been recently going through all the Pixar movies, and I haven't watched Wall-E that many times. When I was younger, I didn't think it was that good, but rewatching it now, it was really incredible. It was a beautiful movie. I understand now why it's kind of so lauded, and it is.
Yes, it is rated very highly among their movies.
Yeah,
Any movie, it's rated highly like amongst any movie.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best science fiction movies to come out of the 2000s. I mean, it's very, very heavy-handed in this messaging, but subtle in the same way. It doesn't rely on dialogue. It relies on beautiful visual storytelling. Probably one of the most advanced animated movies that had come out at that point. Like the animation in that was very groundbreaking for the time. When it came out in 2008, it just looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and there's very little dialogue in the very beginning of the movie because it's just down there. So they had to rely on a lot of show, don't tell.
Yeah.
There were a few clips that kind of like talked about it, hinted, but just the fact you saw the trash everywhere.
And it made sense because Wall-E was completely oblivious to it.
Yeah, he was just doing his job.
He was just doing his job. And it's like
the only one left to doing his job.
Wall-E is the kind of movie that makes me say this is the difference. Like, you can't write a book that's going to be about this with the same impact. This needs to be told in a cinematic format. So that's the kind of movie I watch, and I'm like, this is why we need movies.
Yeah,
movies
for sure.
Can be made that are super impactful and super original. I mean, those Pixar movies were so original. Like, as good as Hopper's was, I've seen this story before about the animals and
the tropes and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of tropes in it that Pixar just didn't used to have tropes in it. Pixar used to create these worlds that were so original. And they do that a little bit in Hopper's with kind of the animal kingdom and stuff. And I liked it better than The Wild Robot. I saw that movie, and I thought it was super overrated.
Really?
Yeah, like the animation was beautiful, but I thought there were a lot of tropes in it, and I didn't think that the dialogue was that well written. And for DreamWorks, I've seen a lot of great DreamWorks movies, and that movie was really highly.
They have a standard.
How to Train Your Dragon. It's not as DreamWorks, How to Train Your Dragon, the Kung Fu Panda series. Those are all really good, especially How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, that first movie is incredible. But Wall-E was really great.
Yeah, Wall-E was good, very timely.
All the original Pixar movies are just so beautiful.
Yeah.
You got Toy Story through whenever Cars 2 came out, it started kind of going downhill. And but then there were gems, like Inside Out comes out, so there's gems that pop up, but it doesn't have the consistency.
So, and that's kind of like just kind of like thinking in real time here. So, will you have a creator? So a creator has an idea, and a creator creates that idea. They put that personal idea, and then they continue that idea through. And really, the beginning of Pixar was a culmination of two people's ideas, and you can see it carry along. As soon as you take the creator out of it, and it gets handed over, that messaging, it's like the telephone, that messaging kind of dilutes. You may have some of the ideas, you may have to have some of the principles, you might find somebody that's really good that kind of really took to it, but you're still losing the original creators.
And the thing about Pixar is Pixar used to have a specific team of creators like John Lasseter, and then it was a very specific team, and everything had to go through them. But as soon as that team kind of disbanded a little bit, the quality started to drop. So that original team of creators, which isn't as present in Pixar anymore, is kind of really affected the decline of it.
Yeah, which is what I think what happens with anything. When we talk about with AI, I think it happens with that.
You take George Lucas away from Star Wars, look at what happens.
I mean, it's just you take the main creator away from the content, so you can go and copy what they're doing, but you don't have the creator, and that's gonna show in everything that comes. You're gonna have some, like you said, you're gonna have
it's like when a movie comes out outliers. And they don't consult with the author enough. It's just not gonna be as good. But when you
Yeah.
have Andy Weir working on every step of the project, and then his movie gets made, and it's great because you really consulted with the author. You have to go back to not the source material, you have to go back to the source.
Yeah. So we'll go to that in just a second. So Patrick Stewart is releasing the sonnets, all of the Shakespearean sonnets. He's going to be reading it. So I think this is a very interesting thing because he is so well respected, especially in the theater community. Very well respected. I've read his biography, and he was a theater legend before he became Captain Picard. He was a theater legend. He was so good. So we have that. All these things about these voice actors, or the AI voices, the actors that are selling. Michael Caine sold his right to his voice. Morgan Freeman had lawyers specifically fighting people from using his voice. So you've got that disconnect. But then with Patrick Stewart, it's like, well, I'm just going to read the sonnets, and you're going to hear it in his voice. I love the sonnets. I would
And
be
it's not
heavily
going to be an
influenced
AI
by
reading it
Shakespeare.
in his voice. It's going to be
It's
him.
going to be him. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. Just listening, very easy listening. I mean, it's not easy listening, but because it's very in depth, but it's so beautiful. The sonnets are so beautiful. I've always loved the Shakespearean
I went
sonnet.
to the river and I looked at a fish and it reminded me of my mother and it made me go on a journey to save the world.
No, that has nothing to do. No sonnet has ever sounded like that.
No?
No,
That's the one I was working on.
Yeah. Okay.
I like
Yeah,
to raise an interesting
hey,
thing
Patrick-
about sonnets.
Yes.
So, people complain about movies following templates, like the MCU. That movie follows the MCU formula, but nobody complains about the fact that there's like 3 different kinds of sonnets, and they're not all saying the same thing, but a sonnet is like a template for poetry. Nobody's complaining about that, but they're like,
So
these
is
movies follow
So
the
is
same
a
formula.
haiku. So is a
Yeah, it's like
haiku.
formulas exist in art because they work. It's like, it's okay if
Yeah.
somebody's following a formula, as long as what they're saying is different. I just think that's interesting. It's like the MCU can't follow a template for superhero movies, but a haiku, they're all written with the same format. It's like formulas are okay.
Yeah, I mean, in cooking, there are formulas, and then
Recipes,
there are recipes, and then there's that
And you
flair,
add you what makes it
Yeah.
different is the person who's writing it adds their touch to it, like a different director, but it's still like a similar formula. So that's just a little thing I was thinking about when I was thinking
Yeah.
about like when people complain about formulas, and it's like, well, formulas
Once again,
work.
You have to look at. We have to step outside the bubble. You have to look at history as a whole. People are so they're so
They're so
pinpointed
focused on what's coming out now.
Yeah, and
But they're not looking at
like
where it
the
came from.
history
They're
of,
not going back to the source. They're not
Yeah.
going back to the source.
Yeah,
Most stories
yeah.
come from Shakespearean storytelling tropes. He is like the father of so many modern day storytelling. I mean, Star Wars, it's a Shakespearean tragedy. That all comes from Shakespeare. It's just a science fiction soap opera Shakespeare story.
Yeah, yeah, and that was really where the storytelling in a digestible way
Yeah,
that people can be entertained by.
yeah.
That was kind of like the thing he kind of created. But we are seeing Project Hail Mary on Monday.
Monday, yes.
Monday. So we may have to do a whole episode on Project Hail Mary.
I think we do. The review embargo is lifted, so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
We can talk about, we are technically going to an early screening of it, so we can talk about it. Now, for anybody who hadn't seen it yet, it'll be massive spoilers. But, I mean, it's hard to talk about it without talking spoilers.
Yeah, and then we'll just talk about the art side of it, not necessarily the plot lines, but the
We can talk
storytelling
about
element.
books versus movies.
Book versus movies that
That's
we'll
a
talk
topic
about.
that
So
I'm very interested. I think I want to talk
Yeah.
about. That'd be a good topic. We can kind of give our thoughts on books versus movies.
So at the end of the day,
You go to
Chalamet.
bed. At the end of the day,
No.
you go to bed.
At the end of the day, Chalamet. Is that a sonnet? To Chalamet. I think I have something
wanna
to say.
I want to interview
But he
you.
was going away and made everyone mad and then made everyone sad. And then we started singing and then my ears started ringing. Yeah, see, I don't need AI.
I think you should actually throw that one into AI and have it help you out,
Good.
actually. This is a good use case.
Yeah, a good use case for that. Yeah, I mean, there's the bubbles, there's the different parts of art, which is what we're trying to explore.
Life is the bubbles.
Life is the
To
bubbles.
quote a great crab.
Yeah, great crab. The legend of crabs. So, all right. So, thank you for joining in. I hope they found this insightful. What do you think about Chalamet? Do you like his work? Do you think what he said matters? Do you have anything that you saw that you're interested in, that you like, that you want to, what do you want us to talk about? Is there something you want us to talk about? Is there something you're curious about, what kind of opinion Isaac has about it, if he thinks it's good or not?
What Timothée Chalamet doesn't realize is that opera does not need ketchup. It's fine the way it is. He was adding a spice to it that it didn't need.
Always gotta bring in the ketchup. Gotta bring in the ketchup.
Opera doesn't need ketchup. It's doing just fine.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Adios.
Thank you for joining us on Ketchup Theory. If you liked what you saw and want to see more, check out this video here. If you didn't get the chance to see our last podcast where we talked about Toy Story and Toy Story 4 and Toy Story 5, are they ruining it? Do they need more? What's going on with all these reboots? Well, if you're interested, check this out, and we'll see you in the next episode.